Welcome, everyone. So that was generated by giving Gemini the context of the 2025 DORA report and asking it to help me write lyrics for a song just highlighting the value stream management findings. And then I took that and put it into Suno, which is a platform that helps you like make your own songs. I've been working on a side project that hopefully I will have ready in January to both demo how I built it and use it to make songs for every event, because I am running out of finding parodies on YouTube now. Although we can always keep rewatching the old ones. They're pretty good. I almost brought back Java Life today, then I did this instead. So anyways, please, if you haven't already, I've seen lots of people have, introduce yourself in the chat, and we will get started. We do use the Chatham House rules, so you are welcome and encouraged to use the information you learn here today, but just not attribute it to any one person or organization. We are recording the first portion of today's session with Rob, and that will be available on the DORA YouTube channel. We do stop the recording when we get to the lean coffee so we can have full psychological safety to have discussions. And with that, Nathan, what's new with DORA? I know there's like a few exciting things that have happened in the last couple of weeks.
Oh my gosh, yes. Thank you, Amanda. And hello, everyone. My name is Nathan Harvey. I lead DORA here with Google Cloud. I'm so thankful for you to joining us today. This is the last community meeting of the year, so that's very, very special. It is sad also that it is the last one of the year, but don't worry, we've got more lined up in January that's going to be really awesome. We also have quite a few things to share that are brand new with DORA. Amanda, I don't currently have co-presenter, so could you just go to the next slide for me? And I will want to take over presenting in a minute, but if you can just go to the next slide.
You should be good.
Or give me permissions, that's even better. All right. So what's new with DORA? Well, launched at the end of September, maybe not so new anymore, but we have the state of AI-assisted software development. This is the 2025 DORA report. Two things about it that stand out right on the cover. First, this report has a new name this year. It is the state of AI-assisted software development. And second, maybe not quite as obvious, but I do like to remind folks, we have de-acronymed DORA. So DORA is no longer an acronym. DORA means DORA, and DORA stands for Get Better at Getting Better. This report obviously digs in deeply into the state of AI-assisted software development. And one of the things that we discovered was that AI is an amplifier. And it turns out it's not whether or not you're using AI, because basically everyone we talk to, or nearly everyone we talk to, is using AI, but rather how you're using AI that really drives the outcomes that you really care about, that you and your team and your organization really care about. And so in discovering that and investigating that, one of the things that we included in this report was the DORA AI capabilities model. These are the capabilities and conditions that really help you get the most out of your AI adoption. Well, we couldn't go into a whole lot of depth into those capabilities in the 2025 report. So I'm very happy to announce that just last week, we released a companion report to the 2025 report, the DORA AI capabilities model. Now, this report goes much deeper into all 7 of those capabilities and conditions that you want to have to really drive AI adoption. It talks about what that specific capability is, how you can think about implementing it or improving it within your organization, and it also includes ways that you can measure each one of those capabilities. But beyond those capabilities, we also talk about ways that you can start prioritizing work that you're doing within your teams and across your organization. So maybe not in a surprise, but you'll be happy to know that there is an entire chapter in this model, in this report, dedicated to value stream mapping and value stream management. So we had a good coverage of it in the 2025 report. We doubled down in our AI capabilities model report. So that's really exciting stuff. Now, there's a couple of other things that have happened as we launched. We also launched a brand new homepage on dora.dev. If you go up in the top nav, you'll see there's an AI link there. You can also get to this page at ai.dora.dev. But in our on our AI homepage, we have this interactive capability model. So you can see the capability model here. Maybe you recognize it from the 2025 report. But let's say, for example, your team has decided you want to focus on product performance. What capabilities should you be investing in? Well, this model helps you sort of navigate, this interactive model helps you navigate the model itself. And as you come over here, you can learn more about each one of these capabilities. So for example, maybe you say we need to improve our AI access to internal data. I can learn both how to assess it, and so you can learn more about that particular capability in our capability catalog. So you'll see things like, what is it? How do we think about it? How do you go about implementing it? Maybe some of the common pitfalls, and of course, importantly, how do you measure that particular capability? So lots of really great stuff that went out together with this report. And then one other thing that is really late breaking, literally, this went live within the last hour. We have a brand new DORA research insight, AI as a tutor. In fact, what we've done is we've been able to work with some of the students at the University of California at Berkeley. They've been doing some research into how are university students using AI, specifically students in like computer science programs. And so they've done a lot of investigation there. We've partnered with them on that. And today we just published this report, AI as a tutor, or sorry, this insight, AI as a tutor, which has a good bit of research there. And what we've done is we've sprinkled in some DORA perspectives, because I recognize that most of you on this call are not CS students, maybe in undergrad today. You're professionals working in industry. So how does what we're learning about students reflect back to what matters to us in our day-to-day work? You can find some of those DORA perspectives sprinkled throughout this research article. So I'm super excited to bring this to you and that we're able to publish this. And I happen to know that we have at least one more research insight from that same team in the hopper. So it's coming soon. Watch for that in 2024. With that, I think that's all that I have to share today. I just want to, again, express my gratitude for every one of you for being part of this community. We really, really appreciate it. And I've learned so much together from this community, from each and every one of you all year long. With that, I'm going to hand it back to you, Amanda.
I can just only echo all the words you were just saying at the end. And also, you said coming soon in 2024. So I'm guessing we're redoing 2025, right? Like, just,
yeah, I don't know.
I could have a redo. It's okay. But instead, we'll see.
I've never been great at math, I would say. I don't know.
I think you are very good at math. But agreed, like, so excited. I'm sad that we're at the end of 2025 because I feel like it went so fast, but learned so much from the community, and so excited for all the things we're going to do together in 2026. But enough from Nathan and I, and let's get to the good stuff. Not that we're not good, but today we have Rob Edwards here to share the findings from the 2025 DORA report around value stream management. And, you know, Rob's been kind of deeply involved in the DORA research program for several years. And I know that he was probably one of the first people that really introduced me to this concept and got me excited about it. And then we've got Steve Pereira, I saw joined as well, who has, you know, just, if you haven't read their book yet, you should read their book. But anyways, enough from me. I'm going to pass it on to Rob.
Thank you very much. And there's always an added pressure when you've got Steve. I could just see him on the screen waving away. Yeah, thank you for the chance to talk through some of this. This is an area that, so I work across multiple customers and have done for many years, and I find doing some flavor of VSM really useful to help identify friction points or challenges, and I've been a big fan for years, so I was excited to be able to get some questions in this year's research and actually validate some of my hypotheses and others on the team as well. So I'll go through this. Nathan's already covered this, but I tried to cover two aspects in this session today. The AI capabilities report, there is a section around doing VSM, so have a look at that. It's more of a practical guide. Also, there's the guide on DORA.dev around running VSMs that I co-authored with Andrew Davies as well, which, again, if you're interested in more, have a look on those. So if we look at the key findings, like what were the key findings that we saw in this year's report? So one of them is that we saw higher team performance for those teams that embraced VSM. And the teams that consistently review their value stream tend to perform better. Also, teams that do value stream mapping or management or just visualize their value also end up doing more valuable work. And that's part of that is thinking that actually, if you're able to focus on where to add the value and remove friction points, that's kind of a big win. And also we saw that there was better product performance for those teams that did some flavor of VSM. One of the questions that comes up is, what are the questions, Rob, that you asked in the report? So actually, I thought I'd put them in for this community because maybe it would foster some conversation later on. But there was 3 questions. I would love to, I think at one point, Nathan, we had quite a few questions that we would have liked to have added into the survey, but we realized the survey would have been just focused on VSM. And for some people that may have been interesting, but we had to have a balance. So these were the main questions that we use. And you'll notice there, we don't explicitly say, do you do VSM? Or do you do some sort of value mapping? The key of the wording for the questions was to kind of work out the sort of things people do. And we know that these equate to VSM. So if I very quickly read them out. So how often, if ever, does your team collectively review all the steps involved in taking a piece of work from initial concept to being delivered? Also, if your team identifies significant bottlenecks or friction points in your workflow, how often do they develop an action plan to address those friction points? It's always very easy, and I've been in many teams where I've said, this doesn't work, this is rubbish, and then I move on to the next thing and never actually try and address it. So the key bit is, once you identify friction points, how do you actually address them to make things better? And then the other question was when your team begins an initiative to improve your process, how often do you first define a measurable or a specific measurable improvement outcome? So those are the questions. If you haven't taken a screenshot and you can't remember these off the top of your head, DORA.dev has all of the questions from this year's report. So have a look on there. So one of the things I should say, so I decided to do a value stream map of me creating slide decks just for fun. And I realized that I am terrible at creating, I spend way too long trying to create a perfect looking slide, and the pixels have to be in the right place. So I thought, let's try an experiment. Let's see if I can improve it. So let's use a bit of Gemini and Nano Banana. I still have a few concerns around the pixels and the illumination. I think the brand police for DORA may come after me later on today with some of these. But I think it's done a pretty good job at summarizing the content of those 2 reports. So there's a few principles that we call out within both reports. And one of them is, first of all, map the system. The first step is to get the knowledge that are in people's heads out of their heads and into something that everyone can see. And the key is here, it doesn't have to be perfect. Prioritize the act of mapping, the act of drawing these things out, rather than the artifact itself. You don't need a perfect artifact. Just get started, empty your heads, and focus on the flow and not just the speed. So one of the things there is we can get obsessed with accelerating one step. But actually, if we don't know how that step fits into the entire flow of the value stream, do we know we're improving things? So a really simple example I use all the time, people are probably sick of me saying this, but if you accelerate the amount of code you generate, does that make things better or not? Now, if code review is a problem, you're actually making things even worse because you're generating more code and you're still hitting that friction point of code review. So actually, looking at the entire end-to-end and working out which areas to focus on for improvements can really help the overall flow of the system. The other important thing is I was talking about emptying that mind. One of the key things is to ensure you have different people from the entire flow. Don't just do your view of it. Involve other people, involve all the different teams involved in it to get a complete perspective of what's going on. Another one is create that continuous improvement. This is something that we've talked about in DORA for many years, I think since the start. The whole thing around continuous improvement. Don't just do it once, stop and say, I'm done, everything's perfect. It's a continual learning exercise. We're continually improving what we do. And the other principle was build on top of that technical foundation. In the report, we talked about the platform engineering side of things, but build on the foundation and just kind of continually improve and make things better. Now, unlike DORA, where it's de-acronymed, in the VSM world, we have multiple acronyms, and they can cause confusion. Even when I'm talking about things, I interchange these all the time myself. So I thought it was probably worth stating that VSM means two different things in two different conversations, depending on who you're talking to. One of them is that tactical exercise of just emptying the head, understanding the shared flow, and that's more that the mapping exercise. There is then the value stream management exercise, which is more the strategic, holistic discipline of continually improving the end-to-end flow and having collection of data, metrics, and a few other things. It's kind of more of an overarching set of capabilities. So just wanted to say that in there. A lot of the stuff I talk about in the report is more around the mapping, because actually we're mapping out a specific flow. But just something to be aware of. Acronyms are fun, and I come from the network space, so I think ever since leaving university, all I've ever lived and breathed is acronyms, and there's 10 for every single one. So how do we actually run a VSM? And this is a mapping exercise here. I realize that I've interchanged the acronyms myself again. But the first one is, and this is detailed in the capabilities guide that I wrote with Andrew. And first is define outcomes, then gather the team. And that has to be the cross-functional team. Everybody who's involved has a perspective and an opinion. Then map out that flow. Identify the timing, so how long each step takes. Hypothesize why friction points may exist and propose experiments, and also think about the future as well, because this is a continual process. It's once you've fixed one friction point, there's still others. So consider the end-to-end future and what the next goals are, and identify those kind of gaps and how you potentially could solve them. This is the graphic lifted out of the 2025 report. Now, VSM, you should really think about it from the end to end, from whatever the start is to whatever the finish. Now, in the context of DORA, I kind of narrowed it a little bit. And the idea was here that actually it needs to be an approachable exercise for people who aren't familiar with VSM, to actually focus on, in the DORA confines or the DORA context of co-commit to being released to production. So actually that could be a good first step. Now, clearly, if your biggest friction point is the documentation or PRDs or things like that, have a look at that. But in the context of this, let's look at the software delivery, and we can do a VSM on that. And what we do is we map out all of the steps involved. These are made up numbers, by the way, but the key is that we make a note of all of the steps. Maybe the team's involved, maybe not. There's no hard and fast way of doing this. This is do it however it works. The key is to empty heads. Also look at the things like process time, how long it takes to actively work on a task, or the wait time, how long it takes in a queue for that task to be completed. A top tip, start from the right-hand side. In my experience, it seems to make you think about it differently, and you end up getting a good result. And also, often you end up rushing the end because you spend too much time on the front side of it. So just a tip of trying it the different way around. And then from there, work on the friction point. And we talked about in the report how AI and investment, so maybe AI can help, maybe AI doesn't help in these, maybe there are other ways of doing things, but focus on what are the challenges. Is information is difficult to get a hold of? Do you need to improve reviews somehow? Is rework a problem? Think about what the problem is, hypothesize some experiments, and then run with those experiments and check if it improves or doesn't improve. I also those who have known me for a while realize I like sketch notes. So I also decided, let's see what Gemini comes up with the sketch note or an infographic for this. And so I will share this probably on LinkedIn later on today or tomorrow, but I think he did a pretty good job of, I gave it, the source was basically the two, the DORA report 2025 and the AI capability report, and it came up with this. I'll share it on LinkedIn, yeah. And the key question we left in the report was, can you draw your software delivery value stream on a whiteboard? And I really have to emphasize, the key is not to be perfect. The key is just get started. Just try it. You don't have to be perfect. I think a lot of people who are new to VSM can be quite fearful because actually there's books, many great books on it, but actually it can be intimidating. It doesn't have to be intimidating to start. Try it as an experiment. See if you like it. If you do like it, actually go and look at some of the awesome books and some of the awesome material out there and actually hone that skill. But for me, the key is just get started, try it, map it out, try and use that as a visualization and a discussion point as a team. And the act of just doing it actually is sometimes really beneficial. That bringing the team together, but also it never ceases to amaze me that the discussion uncovers why steps are in certain ways, and actually sometimes the discussion allows you to reorder steps and improve the efficiency of the flow in its own right. So I think discussion is key, and visualizing it is really important for me anyway. I thought I'd do a whistle stop tour. So I don't know if I've gone too slowly or too quickly, but hopefully you've got an idea of VSM, and I think I'm looking forward to this link copy and the discussion to see how people are using it, if they've been using it, if they're new to it, kind of the experience of those of you who have been doing it for a while, on helping teams improve their software delivery and operations.